even talking about. Right? And he came to our rescue and was so helpful and so clear and calmed my client down. She was kind of all, not that you could see, but I knew she was. And so he was very helpful in figuring it all out. And hopefully, and I think she is going to install more panels. Correct. Her name was Shelley Walsh.
She already did.
She did.
Yep.
So there you go. She's a great resource. You guys use them. Okay.
And the pictures are amazing. Like I mentioned to Rich. He's going to show you pictures of 50-pound pieces of glass that are just sitting there, not bolted down. You know, I mean, it's kind of crazy. So take a listen. Holler if you have questions.
Thank you, Yvonne. I really appreciate it. And hey, anybody, if you want to come in, this is really valuable. I'm not selling anything. If you want to come in and sit, so it's about solar inspections specifically for real estate transactions. So I'll noisily, vociferously up front so you could hear, but please ask questions. So and then eat. There's food. We gotta eat. We can't leave with I can't leave with food. All right. So thanks for the warm introduction. I'm Erin. I'm the owner of Rockland Solar Repair and Inspections. We don't install solar. We are not selling your clients anything. We're specifically doing inspections for real estate transactions. And I inspect 3 systems a day, and I've got a coworker, and we see a lot of stuff. And so this is not meant to be a fear-based presentation, but there's some crazy stuff out there. So I'm here as a resource for your clients. I've been doing this 20 years. I'm a licensed general contractor, licensed solar contractor, and we know what we're doing. There's contact info. I've got cards on the tables. You can take a photo. If you want to book an inspection, it's $299. If it's bigger system, it'll be $350, but it's typically that $299 range. Okay, 3 reasons you want to get a solar inspection. Number 1 is, how is it installed? And shocker, probably not very well. Number 2, a solar system has one function: save money. That's its job. If it isn't saving that client money, it isn't doing its job. So number 2, how is it working? And then number 3, this one's a really big one for your buyers. What the heck am I buying? What is this thing? By the way, trust me, if you've done a transaction with a solar system and you didn't get an inspection, I promise you, your client spent 4 to 5 hours in front of Google after they moved in, figuring out, what is this? Does it have a phone app? What's the phone app? Does it have warranties? How do I, trust me, because I get all the phone calls from people who haven't had an inspection. I don't know what this thing is. We answer all those questions. Okay, so here's what I get. Here are the things that I hear typically from agents about, do I really need an inspection? Erin, it's a brand new home. Why do I want to get it inspected? The builder put it on, it's brand new. Okay, but here's a brand new home by a builder. This is TriPoint, picking on TriPoint today. And this, now it was built in 2022. I inspected it early this year. It was the model home. So it was the model home and then became the sales office. So nobody had lived there, but this is their own sales office. System never worked, ever. They're actually paying their own utility bill in this house that they are now selling, and the system has never worked one day. So they physically installed the equipment. Their subcontractor who works in the development physically installed it. Well, they didn't commission it. Every solar system is all now phone apps. I started 20 years ago. You actually had a switch you turned on. That's not how it works anymore. So the installers who work for TriPoint, because I pulled this up, I did this at the site. I'm not just getting on a roof checking to see if they're bolted down. That's part of it. I dialed into the system. I'm certified with all equipment. There's 5 steps that takes to commission the system. The installers got to step 2 and gave up. I mean, I had this on my phone app. This system had never worked and will never work unless it's commissioned. So this was a lot easier to solve during the transaction because you can go to the superintendent at the development and say, hey, fix this thing before we close on the home. But if you just close on the home and then walk over to that superintendent after they figure out it doesn't work, he's like, oh yeah, I'll put you on the list 10 months from now, but this can get solved up front. This happens quite a bit on new housing developments where the system was never commissioned and it just sits there, not working until somebody finishes. Oh, by the way, there's questions, like shoot them out now while we're talking. So if you have questions, go ahead. Okay, number 2, should I inspect the leased system? Absolutely critical. If it's leased, please. Your clients are buying a home. They're signing up for a 30-year mortgage. They might also be signing up for another 20-year financial commitment called a lease. And it's really important. So this is a real world situation again. This is a home I inspected. And I shouldn't say never, I'm rarely hired by the seller. I'm always hired by the buyer typically. But this is one of those rare cases where the seller said, I don't want anything to hold up the transaction. Let's get it inspected. So it's a leased system. That's her house. I get to the house. I'm reviewing her lease document. And I'm looking, okay, well, she signed up for this thing a few years ago. And the leasing company says, great, we're going to sign you up for 27 solar panels. They installed 24. She's been paying for 27 for years. That's not what they installed. So I know what happened. The crew got out there, the install crew, and they couldn't fit 27. There was no way they were going to fit 27. So they took 3 panels back with them in the truck and then completed the paperwork and started billing her. Well, there was no incentive for the leasing company to say we didn't install 27 because nobody's checking. So I worked with her and said, hey, well, we got to fix this. One, they owe you money. That leasing company owes you money for the past few years. And we got to fix this because there's no way a buyer is going to assume this lease at a price that's too high. I mean, if they get it inspected, any inspector is going to figure this out. So you do not want your buyers signing up for these leases that are 10, 15, 20, 25 years that are priced wrong because they're so much harder to figure out and fix later. And then this is another one. Hey, I know the system. Okay, look, I get it. Erin, we got to get a home, a pest, a roof, a pool, another inspection. Do I really have to ask my buyers for another $300? They're already in this a lot of money. I get it. But this solar system has one function: save money. If it isn't doing that, I mean, the inspection pays for itself. Absolutely. So this one I get quite a bit. Hey, there's negative bills. I can see there's negative bills. I know the system works. Why do we need an inspection? So this was another real world scenario. I get out to the house and I'm looking at the system and I'm on my phone and I'm checking its production, and the system was on, just wasn't working great. These gray panels, those panels had stopped years ago. They quit working years prior. And these darker blue ones are all failing. So this particular house, yes, the system worked, just not very well. And so they were saving $380 a month. They should have been saving $565 a month. So they were not saving, they were losing $2,200 per year in savings because the system didn't work very well. It was at 67% of where it should be. By the way, all of this could have been solved with a warranty claim. Somebody just had to notify the manufacturer. So these manufacturers, a lot of them will stand up for warranties. We just have to make the warranty claim. The problem is this all comes to light at the end of the transaction. Everybody's trying to close. We're supposed to close next week. Now they find out half the solar panels aren't working properly. Now it's an emergency. Now, thank goodness for the buyer, and the buyer kind of smiled because they said, great, I've got leverage now, and I'm going to ask for everything. And I said, well, hold on. Well, let's make, and look, I'm here just to report the news. And by the way, all of this can get fixed. These are not deal killers. None of this should kill a deal. There was warranties to solve it. Let's just figure it out. And so But what you don't want, especially if you're the listing agent, just to find this out 4 days before it's supposed to close, and then that buyer now is asking for big credits. So you're protecting your seller, and if you're representing the buyer, you're making sure they don't get a solar system that isn't working properly. So I just took home inspection software and adapted it to a solar process. So it's software you're very familiar with. It's the same types of things you're getting from home inspectors. So the green stuff is good. Yellow is, hey, we can fix it at some point. Red, hey, there's a problem. And again, these are all questions that your buyers have. And they have them every time, and these are the things they don't have answers to. And how much is it supposed to save me per month? I put it in the report. But how do I transfer the ownership? Age of the system, size, warranty, how's it working, savings, how do I monitor it? Do I need more solar, blah, blah, blah. All this stuff is in the report. Okay, so why is there so much confusion? Because that is your average solar salesperson right here. He does not want anybody to know what's really happening. And so they intentionally, that solar salesperson, whoever sold them that solar system, said, oh, don't worry, you're going to save all this money. And when you go to transfer, it's super easy, A to B. Well, this is what we are dealing with. So we're dealing with complicated transactions, lease documents, with escalators and all these other things. I'm just helping your buyers navigate that transactions. So the reason that we see a lot of these problems is the solar industry has been a gold rush. Every door knocker, plumber, roofer, drywaller, everybody's a solar contractor, and they're installing these systems that are ending up having problems. So what do I see in the field? So these are all real world situations. This is a solar panel, and Yvonne was saying this. That's a 50-pound piece of glass and metal on a roof. One panel is 50 pounds of glass and metal, not bolted down. The crew brought the clips, they brought the attachments to the roof and just set them up there. I find this on almost every inspection. This isn't, hey, I find it once a month. I do 3 inspections a day, and I find this on almost every single home. This is 500-volt wire, no conduit exposed. So you're on the roof or you're on your ladder hanging up Christmas lights next to 500-volt exposed wire. And this is the support bracket. Here's the comp roof. You know what? Forget it. We're not going to put any waterproofing, no flashing. We're just going to drill it in the roof and spray paint it black. Every single one of these, every single one was inspected by the city and county and approved. Every single one. So every solar system that is out there was approved by the city and county, approved, and they have these problems.
I mean, an inspector approved it.
The building inspector for the city and county approved every single one of these on the building permit card. They don't get on roofs. City and county inspectors don't get on roofs. Nobody's checking this. The install companies do not send foremen out to check. They're not checking their own work, and the city and county doesn't check. They know, these installers know they can do whatever they want on the roof, because no one is looking. So it's not, like I said, this is not intended to be fear-based, but this is just what I see every single day. So let's just get these things inspected, fix them, move on with the transaction. The solar system shouldn't be the issue. But what's unfortunate is when buyers move in, find this stuff out 6 months later, and then they're having to come out of pocket for all these surprises that they didn't know about. Now, sometimes it's not always poor workmanship. This one was just really dirty. There was a lot of bird poop everywhere. Sometimes you've got other issues. That's what was under the panels. So bird nests, dead birds, eggs. And so these electrical wires run right along here, covered in that. That system will absolutely short out. So in the rain, all those wires are going to short out because of that problem. But fine, we cleaned it, put bird guard around it. So these are some of the types of repairs and things that I end up running across. Okay, you're dealing with 3 different utility companies that you're going to run into. You're going to run into SMUD, Roseville Electric, and PG&E. I'll put in the report what the savings of that system are. Just be careful about saving, hey, that last house I sold had 15 panels and it saved this much. Well, this house has 15 panels, it's probably gonna, be careful with that. SMUD, Roseville Electric and PG&E are very different. I'll put those savings numbers right in the report. We'll jump past here, sort of net metering, that's PG&E specific. But leasing, so leasing and power purchase agreements. As part of the inspection, I review it and put the details in the inspection report, so it doesn't cost anything extra. And half the time these things are leased or power purchase agreements, we review the paperwork and we'll help your buyers understand exactly what's in that lease document. We are not attorneys. What we are inspectors who read 2 to 3 lease documents a day, so we've kind of seen it all, we know what's in them. But we'll answer those questions on, is this competitive? Are you gonna save a lot? Are you gonna save a little bit? All of that's gonna be in there on these lease systems. If you're probably running into that also quite a bit. So that's part of the inspection is reviewing. Okay, I got through it quickly. I wanted to make sure that I save time. If anybody has questions, you can book an inspection by calling. I've got a QR code on there. If you haven't used me, just once, I promise you that first time and you go through the process, you're gonna see how valuable a solar inspection is. And again, I'm not selling your clients anything except peace of mind. Hey, I can move in, I know it works, I can worry about all the other stuff in the transaction. I'm not worried about that solar system not functioning properly.
And I want to say, as co-broker with Lisa, we handle the broker issues after close, and a lot of times it's that the solar isn't working. Something's wrong with the solar, and now we're having disputes after close where buyers threatening lawsuits and stuff to get these other things resolved, right? Please, let's get an.
Yes, thank you, thank you. Thank you.
Please get an inspection done
Yeah.
if they're solar, right?
Yeah.
Can you define what you mean by, the system has a big commission?
So, okay, let's take a cell phone as an example. You can go to the store right now and you can go to Target or you can go somewhere and buy the cell phone. Well, if you don't have a SIM card and a data plan, it's not doing anything, it's gonna sit there. Same thing with the solar system. You can physically buy equipment, you can buy equipment online, go to a distributor, attach it to the roof. Until you tell the computer that it's installed in PG&E territory or SMUD, it's 240, there's a whole sophisticated setup process through a computer to tell the solar system you are now safe to operate. 20 years ago, it wasn't that way. You could buy equipment, plug it in, turn it on, and it works. Not anymore. You have to actually go through this software process, then the solar system will start working. Does that make sense?
One particular solar?
All of them. All of them. Everything now today, there are no more digital displays. I don't think I have a picture. There's no more display to walk up to in your garage and say, oh, it's working. Look, they don't even have displays anymore. Everything is through the phone app. So if you don't commission it or through the computer, it's not going to work. And that's what happens at a lot of new builds. The solar subcontractor installs them and just moves on and they don't finish the process.
Is there like any documentation that we should request from a seller?
So here's what I would say. That is a great question. Here's a bag. Thank you for asking a very good question. Yeah, my kids made these trick or treat bags, so they were very excited to fill these trick or treat bags with. Okay, now I get a preliminary report. One, to see, is the title clouded? Is there a UCC filing? Is there a lien on the home? And if there is, we know that there's some sort of then lease or power purchase agreement. So that's number one. We definitely want to check that. If it's owned, you still have to transfer the system into the buyer's name. So what I can help determine, and in my inspection, is the exact process. So I will help get your clients that system transferred into their name. If it's leased, I can help with that. If it's an owned system, we still have to do that.
Right.
We'd ask the seller, hey, I'm gonna know during the inspection, I'm gonna figure out what equipment it is, and then I'm gonna detail out what that transfer process is. But there is a transfer process even on owned equipment. especially for warranties, because you need those warranties to transfer over, even on owned systems. Did I answer? Okay, and then I'll,
So I just represented a seller that was, a property that was owned by an estate of a seller that was deceased. The unit was owned. There was no use, the trail was just really hard to navigate.
yeah,
Is that something that you help sellers with, and do you charge an additional fee for that? Cause I was on the phone a lot. It took me probably a couple days to get this sorted out before we needed it to close escrow. The buyer was requiring confirmation that, no, that the title of that unit was clear and there was nothing owed. And in the process, there was 2 companies that went belly up in the process that were servicing that equipment. So what's the best? I mean, is that something that you do, or is that?
so here's what I'll say, I will do as much as we can, so leasing companies will not talk to me. They will only talk to somebody who has ownership of the
I
property.
had to beg.
Yeah, so,
I did get info, but it was.
okay, yeah, so I've tried this too, so 99% of the time, we just get told no
Yeah.
when we call. So if it's leased, they wanna talk to whoever signed up for the lease, or now whoever is the owner of the property, cause this happens a lot, unfortunately, for elderly. That door knocker came, sold them a system, they pass away, the kids inherit the house, and then nobody knows what was going on and what they signed up for. So the prelim should tell us, does somebody own the solar system that's not the homeowner? There's only 2 ways to get solar. You own it, or somebody else owns it. That's it. So it's either owned by the property owner or a leasing company owns it. So that prelim's gonna tell us, but usually almost every time we have to get whoever now is the owner of the system to make the phone call. Then once they do that part, then I can jump in and say, okay, here's how the transfer process works. Here's what the lease document says. Here's how much is potentially due on it. But I usually have to wait to get that info, because every time I've ever called the leasing company, they say, you are not listed on this paperwork. We have to talk to somebody who actually owns this property, unfortunately. I can help navigate as soon as we have some of that.
Gotcha.
I noticed in all your pictures, you had solar panels. Are there other types of solar producing products for roofs? Like I know that they have created like a solar tile.
So there's solar electric, that's what I inspect. If it generates electricity to lower your bill, that's what I inspect. They have solar pool heating to heat your swimming pool. I don't inspect that. I know all about it, I've installed them, but I get asked to do that once a month. It's not worth taking the risk and exposure for something somebody asked me to do once a month. So I focus on solar electric system. And that's what we're gonna run into all the time.
Okay.
So there's either solar pool heating, which is just pumping hot water to your roof and then back down hoses, or solar electric, and that's what I do.
Somebody's saying that there's a solar panels on their house, but they have a pool, it's not necessarily solar
Electric,
electric, it could be just solar.
just to heat the swimming pool.
Just to heat the swimming pool, and is that a different type of?
Totally different process, different technology. And if your solar swimming pool doesn't work, then that just means your pool is the temperature it is. Not that big of a deal if it doesn't work. When your solar electric system doesn't work and you think you're gonna save $300 a month and you're saving nothing, that's a big deal.
Right.
So,
On the warranties, they're all transferable.
almost every warranty is transferable. Almost every.
And 2, if it's leased and there's, say you had that report where certain panels aren't working. In that lease, does the owner have the power to like get the lease company to fix it, or can they just?
Yeah, so the leasing company is required to fix it in their contract. But every contract's different, so I read lease documents every single day, and we'll take Tesla. A Tesla lease from today, 8 months ago and 3 years ago are all different. So, because you've read one, does not mean that they are similar, even 6 months apart. They change the language, they change things they're gonna cover. And so we really need to check these, now. There are times, though, the leasing company won't fix it. And especially in power purchase agreements, because they're gonna say, Well, you're only buying
The
the
amount of money, the amount of.
power that's produced,
Yeah.
so produce less. Yeah, 3 panels don't work, it's producing less, so your payment went down. Because you're only paying for what's produced, so if it only produced 50 units, you pay for 50. If it produced 100, you pay for 100, so they just said, no, we're not fixing it. You're protecting, because it produced less, your bill went down. So I've absolutely seen times when they don't fix it. And you wanna know that if you're a buyer, that hey, half the system might stop working and they're gonna leave half the panels on the roof not working and they're not gonna fix it. You're gonna wanna know that, cause your SMUD bill's gonna go up, or your PG&E bill's gonna go up, cause the solar system's doing less. I inspected a system for a realtor, his own home, and that exact thing happened. He had a bunch of panels not working, and the leasing company said, yeah, but it's a power purchase agreement, we don't have to fix them. You're protected, it's kind of self-policing.
Yeah.
But that just means he's gotta buy more from the utility company.
Can the owner fix them?
No. No, great question. The owner cannot fix it because it's the leasing company's equipment. So. Yeah.
You think the buying is better than leasing?
Here's what I'll say, leasing isn't bad. If it's a good lease, meaning competitive. Great, somebody else has to take care of the equipment. I don't have to do anything. It's cheaper than what the utility company is charging and I didn't have to come out of pocket. There are absolutely good leases and there's perfectly good times to transfer it and take it on. It's just sort of, do you want to come out of pocket? Are you gonna live in the home a long time? There's a few factors, like, do I want to come out of pocket and try and buy it? Now, I've owned 4 solar systems, not in the same house, I clearly keep moving. And I mean, I bought them every single time. Cause you're gonna save the most amount of money doing it that way. But look, if you're gonna live in a house 3 years or 4 years, you probably don't wanna shell out a bunch of money to buy a solar system, and leasing them might be okay. But you just gotta know, you gotta transfer that thing to the new buyer at the time of sale. Yes,
What's the average lifespan of a solar system?
so the average lifespan is about 25 years. And the panels are warranted for 25. I mean, there's some maintenance stuff that's gonna happen in between now and then, but that's what the solar panels are warranted for, 25 years.
That's what was sort of tying into that, but, you know, are there standard amounts of time that you would want to get an inspection, like every 5 years, every 6 years, something like that?
So, there, trick or treat bags. Okay. Here's what I'll say, you don't need to get a solar inspection every year. Like, do one at the transaction. Then here's what I would say, you really should clean the panels once a year. That's a good time to then take a look at it, so that's what we do for our clients, we just put them on an annual cleaning schedule. Look, if you're already gonna have to come out to clean them, then we take a look at it, complimentary, it's just part of the cleaning. Like, we don't charge extra for it, say, hey, we're gonna be out here, we're looking at the system. But like a full-blown inspection, you could do that every few years, you don't need to do it once a year.
Yeah.
But we just throw it in when we do the cleaning. Yeah. All right, look, thank you so much. I've got cards. Please eat some food. And if you've got a transaction, use me once, you're gonna love it. And your buyers are really, and what, take some risk off you and really protect your buyers. So thank you for having me in, really appreciate it.
Thank you, Erin.
Thank you so much.
I agree.
I'm so sorry, casi me lleva la mesa.
No, these are light. Yeah, I didn't think it was that high.
Oh, give it to one of your clients, give it to, yeah.
Can we find out what areas he serves?
How many homes?
What's that?
How many homes
Oh.
that you did in how many days?
Oh, houses, maybe,
You did in how many days?
I'd say 20 days,
50?
about
Hello?
And then out of all of these ones, you got one solar?
one.
Can we find out what areas he serves, please?
5.
Oh, can you still hear me?